Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Total War Saga Troy stream. Today, we're finally gonna get into some campaign gameplay here on the stream. I know we've been doing some battle streams. I know people have been wanting campaigns, and we're finally doing it. Joining me again is Milcho. Thank you for clearing up your schedule. You weren't originally scheduled to be here.
But still, it's nice to be here. So hopefully we can have some good gameplay.
Of course, I'm going to try and keep my eye on the chat, both on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So if you have any questions, you can try and ask them in there. two things about that. One, I might not see them always. Two, I might not pick them because uh, I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes we have some real stinkers when it comes to questions. So, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna follow up on the video that we dropped yesterday on youtube.com/Total War, which was the Menelaus gameplay reveal, which was campaign. And so today we're gonna play Menelaus. Woo!
Nice.
Here he is, the man, the king of Sparta. And for anyone, unfortunately, we are having some technical difficulties with this PC specifically. It's not a game issue because everyone else is nobody. I was gonna say nobody in the office, but it's literally just me in the office. But no one else in the company is having this issue. It's only me, where we're not getting any audio from the game. It is unfortunate, but hopefully you guys will understand. Blitzschloss says, "Nice 3K T-shirts, Blondie. Thank you. They're quite cool. When are we getting Troy T-shirts?
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Yeah. I also want to remind everyone that on release day, A Total War Saga Troy will be free to keep forever as long as you redeem the game in the first 24 hours. So when we drop it, go and grab it. You get to keep it forever on the Epic Game Store, and it releases on...
It's on the 13th of August.
13th
so
of
make sure
August.
you mark that date.
Is there only one PC in the office? No, but there's only one PC in this part of the office that is... Well, there's only one PC that is available to me because, as it turns out, other people also have to work. So, should we talk a little bit about Menelaus? He's kind of an important character in the Trojan epic.
Yeah, he's quite an important character in the Iliad because, after all, the stealing of his wife Helen is the event that kind of leads to the war between the Achaeans and the Trojans. So he is going to be playing a central role in this conflict. He does need to get his wife Helen back from the hands of one of the princes of Troy called Paris, which you have probably heard about. And it is quite an interesting faction to play. We've tried to make sure that all the factions in the game have some unique mechanics and kind of feel unique both in campaign and on the battlefield. And right here in this screen, you can see on the right side the faction traits, which we so call them. For Menelaus, one of them is the call to arms faction mechanic, which actually allows him to recruit units from his defensive or military allies. Now, this is a very interesting mechanic which allows Menelaus to actually play in a much different way compared to other factions in the games. So it's really important for you to keep some alliances with other factions, because doing so you will get access to the troops that they have in their rosters, meaning that your roster can be expanded with all sorts of different troops that can help you fill up the gaps that you need. Also, it provides you with a unique way of playing the game, where you might try not to build any military buildings in your own regions and try to focus on your economy and so on, and try to get the units themselves from your allies instead of you training them yourself. No other faction in the game can do that. So it can be an interesting way to try and play the game in that way.
So
of course, recruiting... Yeah, theoretically,
you can have the biggest roster of any character in the game, really.
Exactly. If you manage to ally yourself with one of the Trojans, for example, you might even get access to some of Troy's units, which is also an interesting way of playing that faction. Those units will be a bit more expensive and will take more turns to arrive to your armies, but you can use this call to arms feature anywhere on the campaign map. As long as your army is in an encampment stance, it doesn't need to be in your own regions. You can just recruit units there. So it's a really interesting mechanic to have.
So Menelaus
other
is really
unique mechanic,
Menelaus really is a force to be reckoned with.
Oh yes, for sure. He himself is also a very powerful character. He
Mm.
is more on the defensive type and he can last in battle for a long time.
Mm.
Most of his abilities are centered around that, but in campaign you can choose your own abilities, so we'll see how we will go
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah, so the second faction mechanic is the Spartan colonies, which allows you to colonize settlements that have already been raised or they're not occupied at the moment by anyone, even just from having them in your line of sight and knowing where the possible locations of them are,
Mm.
so that you can send colonizers there and get the settlement for yourself if you pay some resources. The amount of resources will vary depending on how far away that settlement is. But this is also a unique way Menelaus can expand his territories in different
Mm.
places on the campaign map without actually having to move an army to that settlement to take it. And that can be quite useful. And I do suggest we utilize it as much as we can
Yes.
in our
We'll
campaign.
we'll we'll try and get that done in this stream. We'll see if we have time to get to that point. Maybe we'll just raise something just to raise it,
I'm
so
pretty
we can.
sure there is a raised settlement pretty close to
Ah,
Menelaus, so you should be
fantastic.
able to experience that in the stream. Yeah.
Mm. Um,
Further down, we can see some of the unique faction units to Menelaus. One is the Light Spear Runners. This is a
mm.
very light and extremely fast unit. It's one of the fastest units in infantry units in the game. It also has a number of abilities that can be quite useful and has a special missile attack. So
Yeah.
these are very, very powerful units. The other ones that he has are if you can mouse over them so I can
Yeah.
see the
Sorry.
other units.
He's got
Also, we're just
stalk.
looking at the base. Yeah, they have the stalk ability, the flanking attack improved ability,
Yeah.
and the flanking defense improved, and they can switch their weapons on the move
Yeah.
between their shields and spears, so they can be quite powerful with that.
And we have the
Yeah,
axe
axe
champions.
champions are heavy, very offense oriented unit which can deal a lot of damage with their heavy axes, and they're super useful on the charge if you
Mm.
manage to get them. They also have the flanking attack improved, but they also have another interesting attribute if you mouse over the first one there,
Yeah.
uh, which is called strong vigor, which means that they will tire less in battles. And heavy units usually tire very quickly in battles,
Yeah.
but those ones can actually run more than others, and that's quite important.
Fantastic. And then finally we
And
have the
last
heroic
but
axe
not
warriors.
least, yeah, heroic axe warriors. They're pretty similar to the other axe unit that we saw, but they are more defensive oriented. They do have a shield, and they're one of your best front lines that you can get,
Mm.
while still having access to an axe, which is very good at doing armor piercing damage against other heavily armored units.
Ooh,
So yeah,
they do
those are the
extra.
ones that you're going to be.
They do extra damage versus swordsmen and spearmen as well.
Yeah,
Very, very
extra
interesting.
damage versus swordsman and spearman. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
But we will probably not be able to get up to those units in
Mm.
this playthrough because we just
Yeah.
won't have enough time to do that.
Indeed.
Those are pretty late game turn units.
Yeah. And then we also have some extra attributes to Menelaus here, or to his faction, which gives extra motivation to new hero recruits. We'll talk about motivation a little bit later, and then extra influence over whatever region he is in, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Fantastic.
yes,
And we can also see here the heroes available. So, because every army is spearheaded by a hero in this game. If you're familiar with Total War Warhammer, that would be a lord in those games. Here they are called heroes, and we can see that
yes. Heroes are leading the armies here.
yeah, and here we can see that Menelaus has available to him Defender Protectors, Defender Companions, Defender Veterans, Fighter Champions, Fighter Ravagers, and Fighter Vanquishers, and Warlord Mentors, Warlord Commanders, and Warlord Warmongers. However, he cannot recruit Archer Skirmishers or Archer Tricksters.
Yes, this is part of Menelaus's mechanics as a faction. They do not have access to the archetype of heroes.
Hmm.
So this is some sort of limitation that you're going to have by playing with him.
Yeah.
And all the factions in the game have something similar. Not every faction can recruit all the types of heroes in the game. This is another thing that makes them feel quite different when you
Hmm.
play them.
Now, since we don't have any audio from the game, we're not going to be able to hear the fantastic intro or the fantastic performance by Hector, who's the advisor in the game. Also, those could.
Homer, you mean,
Sorry,
not
not.
Hector.
I'm gonna leave now. Uh,
It's fine.
Homer, of course.
Yeah, he is the one who wrote the Iliad.
Yeah, the legendary writer who is the whole reason why we're able to do this. Um, so I'm just gonna skip those, and then on August 13th, you can check them out yourself because the game is gonna be free, as we mentioned earlier. Someone was asking um, how like for if they were asking for me to expand upon that part of the giveaway. So the way it's gonna work, I haven't actually checked this, but the way I think it's gonna work is that on August 13th, the game will be available on the Epic Game Store. You go there, and then you click buy on it. It's gonna be $0, £0, zero of whatever currency is local to you, and then you just buy it for zero, and then you get to keep it forever as if you bought it for any money, which is I think a fantastic deal. I'm very happy that we're able to bring Total War Troy to everyone that would be interested in it in these first 24 hours. So all of the fans who have been with us since 2000 when the original Shogun Total War came out, they can just come and get it for free. If you haven't played in the last couple of years, maybe you can come back and play it, or maybe you were going to buy it anyway, but now you get it for free, and it's fantastic. So there was also someone asking if we're going to do weekly streams up until release, and the answer is yes. Next week we're going to look at Paris, who is the other part in the setup to this entire conflict. So let's see. So we have Menelaus starting here in Sparta, south of what is today
his
Greece.
starting location.
We have Troy over here. We can see that Priam, who is not a friendly, or he's not a, he's an unfriendly. I read unfriendly and then said friendly instead of a player character. You're not going to be able to play as King Priam, but you have Paris of Troy. You got Hector of Troy. You got Aeneas here, and you got Sarpedon down here in the south. And then of course we have Odysseus, Achilles up here. We also have some other big factions. Another non-playable faction here: Thoas, Nestor. We got Agamemnon, non-playable faction, Eurystheus, and then Menelaus. Odysseus is hanging out here on this island. Can very much suggest you pick up Odysseus because that was a very fun campaign. I played it for like 130 turns. Anyway, let's jump in, and I'm gonna skip this cutscene, and then I'm gonna skip the flyover because we can't hear them anyway. So pick up the game August 13th. It's free. You can hear it for yourself. There we go. So I don't need the game to tell me how the game is played. Because I have someone in my ear that can tell me how the game is played.
Well, Total War veterans will find that the gameplay is quite similar to other Total War titles, but also has a few new features that we will probably go over during this playthrough.
Yeah. Christopher Frank Cook asks, so am I to assume we'll see hero units like Achilles, Hectors, and others? So most of the ones that I pointed out earlier, so we have, is it here?
Agamemnon is there in my city.
I can't, up here is where Achilles starts, and they are playable factions. Odysseus is another one. We have 4 Danans, which are on the western side, the Greeks, and then we have 4 Trojans available. And we have announced that in the future there's going to be a DLC for the Amazons, but we'll talk more about those when we get closer to that DLC. So here we have the man himself, Menelaus. Look at that
Yep,
sheen.
here he is, trying to
Uh,
take his wife back.
yeah, and so we
But
have our
first, he
armor
needs
up
to
here.
deal with some rebels here
Mm,
on the southeast of him.
yeah. There's a lot to talk about just on this screen, but I think we're gonna do what every Total War campaign starts off with, which is to attack someone. So we're gonna take Menelaus. It's a 6-on-6 fight against the Spartan noble pretenders here, led by Arcus. So let's just do it. Let's just get
Yeah,
into it.
this is something that's typical for most Total War games. They start with a battle that is pretty close by, so that you can get the feel of the battles and how they
Mm,
play in the game. So
indeed.
later on, you can decide how you're going to be expanding your
Yeah.
region's empire.
So we can see here. Ooh, these are new icons. I haven't seen these before. Oh, that's very pretty. We can see here that Menelaus is rank 1. And we do have a good balance of power here, but I think we're going to fight this battle. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah, this shouldn't be too much of a problem,
Hmm.
but still,
Yeah. So here we have something
to
that,
minimize.
yeah, here we have
Yeah, I'm
something
saying
that
to
is
minimize
this.
casualties, you would need to fight the
Hmm.
battles if you want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done a couple of runs, and usually when I usually lose an entire unit if I auto resolve. So I like to fight the battles, unless it's a very very simple fight. So here we have something that if you've only played Three Kingdoms or Warhammer, you would not be familiar with the presence of weather conditions. So what do we have
Um,
here?
So there are a couple of weather conditions. They don't have a huge impact on the gameplay, but they can have some impact on your troops.
Hmm.
Rain and fog are the other weather conditions that you can get,
Yeah.
and they will reduce the visibility of units. So
Yeah.
hiding units might be much easier to do.
Mm.
The fog will reduce the visibility more than the rain, but the rain will also make it so that units tire a bit more quickly and recover their stamina slower.
Yeah.
So those are the things that will be affected by weather conditions.
Mm. Let's so if we were to wait, well,
Yeah,
we've got
there's
this.
always a huge chance of the weather being dry. It's only
Yeah.
rarely going to be seen as fog or rain, but it can happen.
Yeah. All right. We got a cool lighting condition here. Um, hang on. Let me. Uh, Go away, advisor. I have my own advisor. So here we are. Oh my god, I don't have cinematic smoothing on because we were messing around with the settings to try and fix the audio earlier. All right, so here we have the battlefield. Looks
Mhm.
fantastic. So let's see, what are we doing? So he has one set of
He has
slingers.
taken the hill, so you
Yeah.
will probably need to assault him up on the hill.
Mm.
He has one unit of slingers, one unit of javelin throwers,
Yeah.
skirmishers, one unit of spearmen, and one swordsman and one militia. So
Yeah.
the important thing here is to be careful of the slingers and javelin as you are ascending up the hill.
Yeah.
But his army should be not much of a problem for
No.
yours.
We want to try. I don't want to put I want to put my slingers on the right side because these swordsmen here and the militia have shields, which
Yeah,
oh
you
well, let's
always want to try
so
and
these dead.
shoot at units without shields if
Yeah.
possible.
And then we
Those are
have
going to be some of your best units in the early
yeah.
game. The light spear runners. They also have a missile attack and they're really fast and can have the stalk ability. So you should make sure you utilize them as best as you can. They're really
Mm.
great at flanking. Also, Menelaus himself has an ability which can taunt an enemy unit and force it
Ooh,
to attack Menelaus for some time.
45
So if
seconds.
you
Yeah.
manage to get in close with his slingers, for example, because I see they're right at the front of his army,
Yeah.
you might be able to taunt them and make them attack Menelaus, thus making them fall victim to one of your other units instead of running away. And that
Mm.
might be a smart idea to try and take minimum casualties from them.
See, this is why I like doing streams with you, because I would never have thought about that. I would just go, well, I'm gonna taunt the enemy hero, clearly.
Well, this ability cannot be used on heroes. The
Oh,
Divine
it's...
Challenge ability is a different
Ah,
types of ability which you can learn later on. This is the War God's Call, and the Defender type of heroes usually start off with this ability.
there we go. Go away, Homer. You're cool, but I can't hear you, so I don't want you in my face right now. So, we can talk about something that I learned just recently. We can see that these icons here are pretty plain.
Yes, they represent the weight of the
Yeah.
units. The circle means that this is a light unit,
Yeah.
whereas the rhomboid will mean that the unit is a medium, and a
Yeah.
hexagon represents a heavy unit, though right now we don't have any heavy units in the battlefield. And you can see here how your medium units are so much slower than the light
Yeah.
ones. The axe units are just dragging a bit behind.
And what
But
we can
do
also
try
see
to
here, what we also
yeah.
can see here is that this icon looks cooler because this is an elite unit, which I learned
Yes, this
just
is
like 2 weeks ago. Let's see. So we're gonna try and do some flanking shenanigans here.
yeah, this is very important in Total War Troy's battles.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
But
not as...
make sure you use at least one unit to chase down his
Yeah,
ranged units.
I'm just gonna send Menelaus to run after those guys so that they don't
Try
shoot
and
on me.
taunt them from there so that
I'm a little bit afraid of
you keep them
the
in place.
javelin men.
Yeah,
There we
so
go. Taunted.
this way you will keep them in place and try to attack them. It would be best if you try to get another unit there to help
Yep.
Menelaus himself.
It's not great, but
He will be doing a lot of damage to them.
Yeah, they're... He will. I'm a little bit scared of these javelins, because I'm
You
not
should send some of your units to just chase them down.
Yeah,
Or use your own slingers against them. Slingers can be quite effective against javelins because they have higher range.
Yeah.
The javelins can't really protect themselves so good.
Just a little bit, yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, something I like about having about the smaller battles is that it's much easier to control your micro. Come on, let's get in here, because it's not as much to micromanage, so it becomes a little bit easier to deal with. Some of the downside is that you don't have as much versatility because your units are going to be running away. There we go. Let's see, that one is almost gone.
You have to make sure you utilize your Menelaus better to put him inside the melee, because just chasing after units is not something that you want to be doing with him. He is a powerful unit and can do a lot of damage to the enemies. Usually militia units or the light spear runners, they're excellent at chasing down enemy ranged units.
Let's take these guys
Yeah,
down.
like this militia unit, just leave it after the javelins and make sure it chases them.
Yeah. Alright, let's do that. Perfect.
Also, your axes are your heavy hitters in this battle. Make sure you utilize your axes against his spearmen, the shield-wielding spearmen.
Perfect. There we go. His ranged units are running away there. We'll go against his spearmen. Menelaus fights against Arcus. It's brilliant. And our swordsmen are running after the skirmishers, who still have a lot of ammo
Yeah,
left.
also be careful where you aim your slingers, because they might also shoot your own troops.
Yeah.
There is friendly fire in Total War, and it's not cool to be shooting at your own troops.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, most of his army is routed by now. You should just focus on those light spear runners, on the javelins as well, probably, and the battle should be over quite soon.
Yeah, just getting those done. Let's take you around back. I
They're
think I've said
almost, the
this.
javelins here are almost broken, so you don't really need to flank them. But
There
yeah,
we go.
this will help.
I think I've
There we
said this
go.
before, but I am a very average Total War player. Um, there are people out there that are much better at it at this game than me. Even though I have surely played more than most people in general, and I'd say about 93% of everyone watching right now. Um, the only people that have played more than me, probably people on the dev team and
Yeah, we
other
have
people on the
played a
dev
lot.
team.
Okay, so we won the battle. It wasn't a
Yeah,
really hard battle,
no,
but
no, no.
as you can see, your light spear runners really did a lot of damage here
Oh yeah, absolutely. There we go.
with 180 kills. Yeah, that were quite uh, important for that battle.
Oh yeah, 180 kills, very nice. That's our elite unit for you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
pick up. Ooh, 16% replenishment. Not bad. I'm gonna pick up replenishment. You can see that we got
Yeah,
food and
you
experience.
did take some casualties here. Replenishment is probably the best idea
Hmm.
for now.
There we
Yeah, the
go.
enemy was killed.
Fantastic.
You can see down there in the left that Menelaus himself has leveled up.
Yep.
So you can, every time you level up, you're going to get a new skill point, which you can assign on your skill tree.
Mm.
And as you can see here, the skill tree has changed quite a bit
Oh
from
yeah.
previous titles. Now, as you go down the tree, you basically have option between two new abilities,
Yeah.
which picking one of the branches from the tree will lock off the other. So
Yes.
you really need to be careful about which abilities you prefer to pick and
S-
to use.
So here
Also,
I can
abilities
pick.
will have specializations. Yeah,
So here I can pick Dread of Ares or Assault and Battery. I can't pick both.
yes, and picking one will block off the other.
Yeah.
So here you can see what both of the abilities do, and you can decide which way you want to go.
Mm. So here we can get an ability that reduces morale quite chunky, 20%, and stamina 15% for a single enemy unit. This will also give us 2% extra hit points for our hero, or we can go with Assault and
Yes,
Battery.
all abilities will increase the hit points of your hero by 2%, so this is not
Mm.
something that
Yeah.
is important.
Or we can make Menelaus do more armor-piercing damage with the Assault and Battery ability. Um,
Well,
let's also look at
yeah,
the
so both abilities,
specializations.
yeah, the abilities have also specializations which can be unlocked with another skill point,
Mm.
and the specialization will overwrite your the basic ability,
Yeah.
so you have an improved version of the ability
Mm.
if you want to
So
take it.
if I picked up Dread of Ares and wanted to specialize in having ranged units, um, this one would reduce
Yes,
the missile resistance, which would be really nice. Or I can go more defensive and reduce the melee attack. Um,
yes, as well as their morale.
mm. On the Assault and Battery, um, let's see. So this one
Here you
reduces
can
the
reduce the
cost.
cost, the rage cost, because this
Mm.
is a toggle
Ah.
ability, which means that you turn it on and it costs rage over time. But this specialization will vastly reduce the rage cost, meaning that you can use it a lot more throughout
Mm.
the battle.
Or this one will just increase the armor piercing damage even more. I think I'm going to go with Dread of
Yes,
Ares here, um, just
it is a good
for this
choice,
one.
but mind that choosing this ability will lock
Mm.
off the other ability,
Yeah.
as you see right now. So you do need to be careful about which
Oh yeah.
abilities you choose on each tree branch.
There are a lot of abilities to pick here. I mean,
Yes, there are a lot of abilities with a lot of specializations, and each epic hero has a unique skill tree,
mm,
and each hero also has their own.
yeah,
Each hero type has their own unique skill tree. So, like defender protector will be different than fighter champion or
yeah.
another type of defender. So,
I also want to point out that this is still a game in development. We continue developing until very close to release, and numbers may be tweaked. They may be tweaked after release as well.
yes, of
So
course.
not everything here is final. Speaking of not everything is final, let's take a look at Menelaus' equipment, because he has a special shield here. Menelaus' shield. which
Yes, like in other Total War games, we do have equipment which you can put in your characters. You can decide on which character you want to use each equipment. We also have followers and items which can provide small or large buffs depending on
hmm.
what you can find.
And then he also has a belt, which even more morale. And let's see, -2 turn recovery time to heroes when wounded. Ooh, very nice.
Yeah,
Level 1
also
increases
quite
melee
nice.
defense. Yeah, so we can see here his battle effects, his campaign effects. It's just swell, dude.
Yeah, you can
Fantastic.
see his traits here and so
Yeah.
on.
All right.
Yeah,
So
but
let's recruit some units because we can't have 6 units in our army forever. So this is very similar to the way you do it in Total War Warhammer or Rome 2, for example. Um, we click this button and then we start recruiting. Now you can see that there are some icons here. Every unit has a cost, and in A Total War Saga Troy, we have a brand new multiple resource economy. So let's talk about food, which is the first of our resources.
well, food is going to be one of your most important resources if you want to build armies early
Mm,
game. This is what food is mostly utilized for. You don't really need food to build buildings and expand your settlements and so on. But in order to have armies, you do need to have food.
yeah.
Each unit will cost you some food to be able to recruit it, and then will cost you food upkeep, which is an amount of food every turn for you to basically feed them and keep them in your
Mm,
army. As you can see up top, those are the units that you can recruit from the call to arms mechanic,
yeah.
which is unique to Agamemnon. As the game progresses, there will
To
be more
Menel,
units there.
or
Uh,
these are Agamemnon's units.
yes, those are
Ah,
Agamemnon's units because you are starting with a defensive alliance with
ah,
him, with Agamemnon, and so you have access to them. But as you can
fantastic.
see, some of them are quite expensive,
Oh yeah,
and most of the time you will
Faust.
prefer recruiting your own units unless you want to get something more
Yeah,
unique or you want to recruit them while in enemy territory.
yeah. I mean, we have
As the game progresses,
1700,
the
and this one
units will
costs a
start
thousand.
costing bronze as well,
Hmm.
which is another type of resource which you need to accumulate and just find ways to gather.
Yeah.
And this is going to be an essential part of Total War Troy, those new resources, because all the settlements have access to different types of resources that you can get, and this will make the choice about expanding in which direction you want to go much more important than it has been in
Yeah. So we
previous
can see
Total War
here.
games.
Here we have a stone quarry, I guess. Um,
Yes,
Over here, we got some wood here in this forested area. Got some bronze over here. Here we have gold. So
yes,
gold
gold
is
is a
very
special
special.
type of resource. It's used in many different things, which can affect the campaign a lot, but
Mm,
not in a direct way. It's really utilized in the divine will system, as well as
yeah.
some late game units, which require you gold to pay them and so on.
Yeah.
It's also very useful in diplomacy because gold is finite and it can run out dry on the map in the late stages of the game. And AIs are really looking to have it, so they make sure they have it in the end game. So you can also trade it with them for other resources if you want them at the moment.
Mm,
So it can be quite important as well. And wood and stone, of course, they use to expand your settlements. Early
yeah.
structures will require mostly wood, but as you progress and want to build temples and better buildings, they will start requiring more and more stone as well.
Yeah. Here we can see that we could colonize. Well, we could
Yes,
have.
this is a special mechanic of Menelaus,
Yes. So it would cost us
which
300
allows you to
wood.
colonize from a distance.
Mm. It would cost us 300 wood, 500 food, and 100 stone. We don't have 500 food, so we won't do that this turn. Maybe we can pick it up next turn. Let's see, where would that be? It's down here? Yeah, at this.
Yes, this is that is
Cool. So let's see. So we have these mud brick houses, which increases the growth of the province. Um, growth contributes to
Yeah,
population surplus, which you need for your primary uh, s-
yes,
buildings.
exactly. It works in a similar way as in Total War Warhammer, where you
Mm,
need to get growth in order to expand your settlements even more and get more slots for buildings available in your settlement.
indeed. I my normal play my normal way to play the game is to focus on getting growth up so that you can get more population surplus and then it sort of gets the ball rolling, I feel. So we're going to go with that, which is going to cost us
Well,
most of our wood. Or?
yeah, you don't really have a lot of wood to build many buildings right now. So right now, your choice is basically between that growth or
Yeah.
upgrading your other settlement so that you have one of the food production buildings, so you can get more food
Mm.
to get more armies. So here again, you have the choice between, do you want to get more armies right now if you feel
Yeah.
like you're going to start expanding soon and you're going to need them if you're in a war and so on, or
Yeah.
if you want to focus on more long-term goals like trying to expand the growth of your settlement so that you can get more and more buildings.
Unfortunately, Oitillan doesn't seem to be able to support any food production. It is a stone quarry after all.
Oh, it's a stone
Yeah.
settlement. Okay.
So I
Well,
think
stone can be
stone.
used, you can trade it for food. So,
That's
I mean,
true.
all the resources can be quite important because the AI will also be looking for them. And if you find someone that has a lot of food but doesn't have access to stone, and as you
Mm.
see here, you have a stone quarry,
Yeah.
you might be able to trade some of your stone for their food. You can either do this by doing a single barter, like a single trade of, for example, 100 stone for 100 of their food, or
Yeah.
you can do this trade agreement, which happens over turns, like saying that I will give you 10 stone every turn for 15 food every turn for 10 turns, for
Yeah.
example. And this is also possible to be done through the diplomacy.
And that's also a very good use of gold, I've found, because gold is very valuable. You're not going to have a ton of gold, but you're going to get just from one piece of gold, you're going to be able to get a lot back from it. No one's going to trade
Yes,
one
that is
gold for
true.
one food.
That is true, but gold is also quite utilized in the divine wheel system. And if
Mm.
you click on the button for the divine wheel up there on the left, yeah, you will open the panel which represents the different gods that are
Yes,
present in the game. And worshipping those gods can give you a lot of benefits.
indeed.
And as you can see here, at the start of the game, all of them are at a neglected level, which means that they do not provide you with any buffs.
Mm.
But if you build temples dedicated to them and you pray to them, they will start providing you with some really really powerful buffs. And each god will provide you with different types of buffs depending on their flavor.
Mm.
Like you can see here with Hera, uh, worshipping her will reduce the recruitment cost of all army units
Yeah, and also
with
give us a
high
bunch of missile
influence.
damage, a
Yes, and so
bunch of
on.
stuff. And once we
Yeah,
reach the level of worshipped, which is level 3, we will get access to the Corybantes, I think is how you say that, maybe,
yes.
unit, which is a fantastic mythological unit. Now, I think it's important for us to mention that this is, of course, part of our Truth Behind the Myth setting. So it's in this game, it's not actually the gods themselves that are giving you these bonuses, but it's more of um, the people are working harder in a sense, or say
Yes,
in the sense
when the
of
people truly believe that they have this god respected and they have the favor of this
mm,
god, they are going to get those effects and they're going to start performing better, knowing that Hera is on their side, will
yeah,
make the slingers deal more damage and so on. So it's all again the truth behind the myth thing,
mm,
which we've talked about before.
yeah,
Just the belief of having the gods on your side can actually increase your performance. You don't. There is no real divine intervention that you will
Yeah.
get from them.
And this shows
The
up
gods
in
will not
several
just come
places.
down on the battlefield and fight your battle for you or something like that.
This shows up in several places. There's one other faction, for example, or one other. There's one faction, for example, whose primary character has the ability to talk to the dead, or so he thinks. But if I was, if my king went into a cave and started talking to the dead, I would think, well, that guy's kind of crazy, and so I would not be as inclined to fight for him, or help him out, or whatever it is that I do in his kingdom. I might think, all right, maybe I should keep to myself, just do whatever, um, and that is reflected. So there are bonuses where if you act like a crazy person, then you will sort of lose the not lose, but
Yes, you lose
the
the
love.
favor of the gods,
Yeah,
and they will stop giving you all those benefits to
yeah,
your
because people
troops and so on.
think you're kind of crazy, which I
Yeah.
think is a really nice take on it. I really like this setting. I think it's really cool. All right, so let's take a look at research or royal decrees.
Yes, the royal decrees are something similar to what you would call technologies in
Mm,
previous Total War titles, but here we have them separated based on the resource on the different resources.
mm,
As you can see, we're starting off with food and bronze as already researched.
yeah,
Those will be increasing the production of our food and bronze, and they will also give you access to different interesting types of royal decrees, which can increase the performance of your military units or your settlements and so on. There are a lot of buffs here which you need to pay attention on, and
indeed.
there are lots of ways in which you can go and decide how to better expand your empire.
Mm. And if you look very closely, there's an icon here that I'm not going to hover over, but you might imagine what it does. So I normally go with Royal Timber for my first pick, because wood is going to be very
That is a
important.
smart idea because you will be needing a lot of wood from the start,
Mm,
and just getting more wood out of those degrees is probably a good idea. But as you can see, this one requires you more time than some
yeah,
of the others. But
compared to
two
this one,
turns
which we,
more, I guess it's fine. So
yeah,
if going for more wood is what you need, it's
indeed.
quite okay.
So I'm going to finish our first turn here, just to make sure that we actually play more than just turn one in this stream here. So we got a mission to issue a royal decree, which is going to happen in 6 turns. We get a small
Yes.
reward, and we also have,
Those missions are there to guide you throughout the
yeah,
game. They usually help you build up your army, construct some buildings, issue a royal decree, and so on, just so
mm,
they can get you started.
indeed. So I'm going to pick up some more units here because we have mustered troops, which requires to have 12 units.
Maybe instead of picking more units, you might try to colonize that settlement, which will give
Ooh,
you another settlement there. You can
yeah.
either do it from here, on from the screen up there on the left, which is the Spartan colonies. It
Ah,
will show you all the different settlements
mm,
that you know that right now can be colonized.
yeah.
Yeah, you can
Ah,
click on them to see where they are, but you also have to make sure that, I mean, if you colonize a settlement that is far away, it might be a bit difficult for you to defend it later on
yeah,
if you get into a war and so on. So you should be thinking carefully, and they need to be in your line of sight in order to be able
yeah.
to colonize them.
Um,
But
this,
Edis
oh,
here, I mean, it looks like a pretty good deal to just go
yeah.
and colonize it using that system.
It also borders on someone we're at war with here,
Yeah.
Cythera. Um, so we have Etis here, which is ruined. So let's build up Etis. It's going to cost us pretty much all of the wood we have left, but we're
Yes,
going to
but
get
it
more food.
is a farming village and it will provide you with lots of food so you can
Mm,
upgrade your armies even further.
yeah. Then I'm going to move and then recruit. There we go. and then we can move down and take Cythera, which completes this entire province for us to get the full benefits of. So let's see. So let's pick up something like that, and then move on. Let's see.
So right now you're missing a lot of wood,
Yeah, maybe we
but you
should
don't
try.
have much of the. Maybe we should try and trade.
Yeah, maybe.
So you can offer your protection, for example, like a defensive alliance or a non-aggression pact to someone in
Mm.
exchange for some resources, or you can try and trade some of your own resources in order to get you that early game of yours started.
Achilles really wants a non-aggression pact, so let's maybe we can get something from him because he has some wood. He doesn't have a ton. We can get maybe some out of him. Let's see what we can get from a single barter here.
Keep in mind that sometimes a single barter might be
Yeah.
harder for the AI to get.
Let's.
Depends on if you want that wood right now or if you just
Yeah.
want to increase the production of your wood. You need to think if you want to do a single barter or a barter agreement. Usually, a barter agreement will get you more of the resource than a single barter, but it will give it to you over time. So you need to decide which one you prefer. Yeah, so this way you will be getting about
Slight.
30
Yeah, actually,
uh,
very
wood, yeah, each
similar.
turn.
Actually, exactly the same amount. Let's see if we can increase that by maybe going down. I think the 290. If I'm doing my math right, the 290 in one turn should be more than 37 in 8 turns.
Also, you need to keep in mind that
No, it's
the
not.
type of relation that you have with the faction you're trading with
Yeah.
will give you better deals. Like if
Mm.
someone is really happy with what you're doing right now, and they you have had trade agreements before, and you've had a military alliance for a while, and so on, they're usually willing to give you a better deal.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes if you do a deal that is much in the AI's favor, like for example, you're trying right now to do a very equal deal where
Yeah.
you get the exact amount that you want in return. But if you do something that is more in the AI's favor, you will get more diplomatic relations with it. They will start liking you more because you've done this deal that it's more in favor for them rather than yourself. Not sure where Blondie went here. Ah, here he is.
Sorry for running away. Had a little bit of a spam bot in chat. Um, got that
Okay.
stopped. All right, so let's do 37 wood for 8 turns. I think that's what we're
Yeah.
gonna get out of it.
For
And non-aggression
non-aggression pact.
seems pretty good. If we add military access, we can get even more out of him. Actually,
Ooh, then maybe that's a smart idea to do.
yeah.
You can really get a lot of
I
wood
want.
that way.
I did that very quickly, so I want to make sure that I show everything that I saw here. So what I did was I saw that military access is something that Achilles really wants. So if we add military access to it, we now get plus 18 and we can go up and get even more out of him. Let's see if we can get like 76, 75, 74. Alright, so we can get 74 for 8 turns instead. That sounds like a great deal. Thank you, Achilles.
And it is a great deal indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, Achilles will be providing you with some wood. So
See.
as you can see, the wood that you get per turn has increased significantly with 74.
Yeah.
Maybe you can try and do something similar for food, for example, with some of your other allies, and see what you can get. Down there on the right, you can usually see what kind of resources they have an abundance of.
Yeah.
So you're looking to find a faction that has access to a lot of food, so they can trade it with you.
Let's see, where is Agamemnon? I forget. What is this? It's Mycenae,
It's
right?
Mycenae. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
Agamemnon. you are already in a defensive alliance with him,
Mm.
but you might offer him something else. Yeah, like a military access or military alliance.
Let's go with both. Why not? And
Yeah, he
then
is your brother. He will
yeah,
appreciate it.
and then we can maybe
And you
go.
can also want some food from him.
Look at the food we can get from it. Okay, maybe not that much.
Well, not that much.
Let's
It really
do
depends on the amount of food that he has.
yeah. 30? No. 210? 205? Yeah, 205 for 5 turns plus a military alliance. That sounds great. Fantastic.
Keep in mind that Agamemnon will probably drag you into a war quite quickly, so you should be ready for something like that. He is much of an expansionist and he likes doing stuff like that.
It's fine. All right, mission successful. We got some extra food and some bronze. Very nice. Now they want us to build buildings. They, you, game. Let's see, and also upgrade any settlement building. We also want to get a full province. Very, very standard Total War missions, I'd say, but they're still very nice to have. Let's see.
Well, you do have some wood now and some food, so I guess it's time to start developing your settlements
Yeah.
and recruiting units. I'm not sure 12 units are going to be enough to get that settlement there. You are in a war with the faction. It will have at least 5 or 6 units in the garrison
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
probably a small army. I'm not sure how powerful it might be at this time, but usually
We'll
it's
see.
better safe than sorry. So
Um,
those are some of Menelaus's unique buildings
yeah.
that you can build.
Ooh, I like the +1 to
They
local
both help
recruitment
them.
capacity.
Yes,
And these are
but
mutually exclusive building lines.
they're mutually exclusive in the same settlement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you can build the other building in another settlement, so that will not be a problem.
Yeah, and this costs 250 wood and 100 bronze. Let's do that, and then
I would
maybe
suggest expand. Usually, it's better off to start with the buildings that produce the resources that you're going to be needing, like
what
food.
this was
Here,
called.
for example, is going to be a
Yeah, yeah.
thing if you want
No,
to expand your
absolutely.
armies even more.
Oh, it's the Arab
So, as you can see,
landscapes.
there you have access to several different type of food buildings.
Mm.
So one of them will give you some food and more food if you have good influence. Your
So what
influence can
is
be seen in the bottom left corner.
what is
Yeah, so
influence?
influence is represents the amount of different tribes that are right now inhabiting your lands in this settlement,
Mm.
and so you can see here a breakdown of the tribes that live here. So the Achaeans, which are Menelaus and Agamemnon's people, are the predominant tribe. So
Mm.
you have 86% influence in this region, and the other 14% are represented by the Lelegan influence, which is another tribe that is used to live in that period of time in the Aegean. So having high influence will net you more from most of your buildings. So usually you want to keep your influence high, because if it drops, means that your buildings will be performing worse than
Mm.
they can.
Look at how
And so
beautiful
if you
this is.
browse through the buildings, to the food buildings again,
Yeah.
you can see that the first building is so the first building is going to offer you some food, and
Mm.
then more food if you have better influence, or 80 food if you have influence. But the second building is going to produce you even more food, 90
Ooh.
food, and
Yeah.
some has another effect of growth,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it will reduce your influence. This means you uh, get more of the peoples of the Lelegan tribe in here, and they will start gaining more influence, but you will get more food. So if you can handle this influence, this building is better than the previous one. And the
Yeah.
third building, you see,
Yep.
will just provide you with different resource bonuses in the whole province.
Mm.
So this is a good support type of resource. So, for an example, if you want to have this province produce more stone, because your other settlement produces stone here, and you
Yeah,
don't really need the food, instead of building a food building here, you can do this building, and this will increase your production of stone that you have in previous settlements. Again, so
fantastic.
the fort building, this will provide you even more food than the
Oh,
others,
this one's good.
but this building costs a lot
Oh yeah,
and
oh
it's
yeah.
very expensive and it upgrades are even more expensive. So if you want to invest more money right off, and if you want to spend your gold, as you see even on the second level it
Yeah.
requires gold, it can give you a lot of resources. So here again the question is between going long-term goal where you will be needing that gold to upgrade this building but getting a lot of benefits, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just getting the smaller benefits right now. Yeah, and the last building, it doesn't have any upgrades. It will provide you an immense amount of the resource, so 300 food compared to the
Mm,
others. It's super a lot, but it doesn't have any upgrades, and it
yeah.
significantly lowers your gold, meaning that
This
you will probably not be upgrading this settlement at all,
no.
just
I
having it
I
there.
imagine what I would do, if I'm spitballing tactics here, is that I would go with probably arable land, and maybe once I've upgraded this, go for grain carts as well, and try and see if I can manage both of them, and then probably switch over to the Apoikia, whatever, later in the game, and then also the Hunter's Lodge once all my growth is done in this province.
Well, the Hunter's Lodge is usually great when you just conquer a new region and you
Mm,
know that you will not be staying in there for a long time. And you can
sure.
just build a Hunter's Lodge, for example, hunt all the animals for food there. So later on, when the enemies capture the region back, you don't really suffer any setbacks and leave all the setbacks just to them. So this is another tactic that you can apply. I
Yeah,
personally would go for the second building because right now you do have okay influence,
yeah.
meaning that you can go with that extra food per turn, and that growth is still going to be quite helpful.
Mm,
And here in this settlement, if you go to the last skill tree again with the stone buildings, you can see that those are different buildings because they're
yeah,
around stone, but they're pretty much doing the same thing. You have
yeah,
one
yeah,
building that is cheap but produces a little amount of stone and so on. They will provide different extra effects. Like the second building will not increase your growth, but I think it reduces the construction time of all buildings. So
mm,
again, this is a nice addition, but it will furthermore reduce your influence. So you need to
yeah.
be careful when you're balancing that sort of things. And there are many ways in which you can do it. You can go for it.
Now we have a bunch of military buildings as well. We'll go over
Military
those
buildings
in
are
the
going to
future.
be always important
Yeah, we'll
because you need to have your troops from there. But as I
we'll
said, Menelaus can rely on his allies to
yeah.
gather troops instead. So you might not really need the military buildings that much.
No, we'll go over military buildings at a different point. Hello, Mr. What is that? A lion head? There we go. Construction done. Um, I've taken what you said to heart, and I'm gonna go and recruit some more men. We now have a recruitment capacity of 4, and we have 3,700 food. So let's do something like
Mhm.
this. Maybe not a slinger. We don't have a terribly good um, ranged capabilities, so I don't think I'm gonna go much on the Achaean slingers. 16 units seems like a decent assault force against Cythera, so let's just go that, and then we can go in and I'm not gonna upgrade these because I want to upgrade this to level 3 first. I think.
Yeah, getting this to level 3 will give you access to upgrade the military building,
Mm,
thus allowing you to get better troops. But I think that in Oitilion you have a free slot where you can build a stone production building
yeah.
if you have wood.
Either
But yeah, right
that
now.
or I fix this port, which gives extra
Well,
food.
fixing the port will give you more food and more growth.
Yeah,
So
I
you
think that's
need
the
to check
best choice
which
here.
one you need more.
I'm not. I don't think I'm hugely dependent on stone right now. It's mostly wood. Stone will be a later concern for us.
Yeah, it's true, but still starting to get it from an early stage means that you have more stone in
Hmm.
the end. And
Oh,
again, you can always trade it. And if you have an abundance of a resource that you don't need right now, you
yeah,
can look at factions that don't have it and try and trade with them so that you get
indeed.
it.
Milcha, do you know what? It's already been an hour, so I'm gonna do a quick.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I know. Time flies when you're having fun, right? Um, so I'm gonna turn to the chat and see if we have any fun questions here while I continue
Yeah,
playing.
please do that.
Oh my God, look at this settlement garrison and everything. Oh, okay. Let's encircle, see if we can get them to come to us. Um, let's see. I'm gonna upgrade this. No, go check
So yeah,
some
let's
buildings.
look through any possible questions so that we
So
can
let's
try and
see. Are
answer
there
them.
any monster units? Well, that depends on what you consider a monster.
Yeah, so they're not really monster type of units. We do have some mythic units that are single entity, very powerful units,
Hmm.
like the Minotaur, which you've probably seen in some of the other battle videos.
Yeah.
They are really powerful and can bring a lot to the battle, but they're pretty hard to obtain in the campaign. If you check out the Divine Will screen again, you can see that you can get the Minotaur by getting the worshipped favor status of Zeus,
Yeah.
which can be hard and will require you gold and so on. So
Hmm.
it's not an easy thing to achieve, but you will be able to get that unit in there. It's not really a monster, it's a human, but he is a beast of a man and is really tall, really strong, and is able to defeat multiple enemies with just the swing of his large axe. So
Yeah.
he is pretty strong.
Let's see. So we have a question here that where the answer is no. But are there family trees? And I can answer that by saying that the families are a big part of Total War Three Kingdoms and Rome 2 and other Total War games. It is not the focus of Troy. It's not what we wanted
Yes.
to go with here. I saw it was like an hour ago, but someone was asking if the heroes could die. They are invincible, the unique heroes, the faction leaders.
They're handled pretty much like legendary lords in Total War Warhammer,
Mm,
whereas you can eliminate them from the map and eliminate the faction. You can kill them in this way. But
yeah,
epic heroes will usually just be wounded in battles. If you go to the hero details screen again, you can see one of their traits there. You
yeah.
can close this window and just select your hero.
Let's see,
Where
there
is
he
he?
is.
He's besieging a settlement. Yeah,
Yeah,
just select the hero details. There, the button that is right below his portrait on the left, further down. Yes, this button. Just in the middle,
oh,
below his
character
portrait.
details.
Yes,
Sorry. Yeah,
character
yeah.
details. So here on the traits, you can see that this one is a Homeric character on the right,
Hmm.
and this means that this character is destined for greatness, and he will be wounded in battle unless you destroy his faction, where
Yeah.
you will kill him.
And unlike,
Only 8 characters in the game have this trait. Those are the 8 playable characters. All the other characters you are able to wound.
so far at least, we'll see about the future. Um, how it, I mean, you already said it, but yeah, how many playable factions are there going to be on release?
Yeah, on release we're going to have 8 playable factions, 4 for the Danaans or Greeks, if you call them, and 4 for the Trojans. I believe right now we've already announced all of them. So for the Greeks, they're going to be Menelaus, his brother Agamemnon, Achilles, and Odysseus. And on the Trojan side, they're going to be the 2 princes of Troy, Hector and Paris, which will be in separate factions, their cousin Aeneas, and mighty Sarpedon from Lycia.
Ines
We've
is a little
already
bit.
announced that there is going to be a DLC including Amazon as playable characters, but that is going to be in the future.
Indeed. Um, so someone asked us to show all of the starting positions. We did that at the beginning of the stream. So if you want to see where everyone starts in the game, you can go back to the beginning of the stream. Let's see. Then we
Yes.
had, will we see the Trojan horse? And we've gone over this in great detail in previous streams. But the answer is yes, in multiple forms. Um, here's a question
Yes.
I've seen many times during the stream, and you're gonna have to answer this, but I think I know the answer. Is Patroclus in the game?
Yes, Patroclus is in the game,
Oh,
either
okay.
form. You can see it in Achilles versus campaign.
Ah, fantastic. I haven't played Achilles yet. Yet. Um, I
There are
thought that
many,
I thought.
many characters in the Iliad, and we've tried to include a lot of them.
Mm,
Not all are playable, of course, but yeah, there are just so many, and it was sometimes very difficult to choose which ones we want to
yeah.
focus on. And we did want to focus on the ones that are most important for the narrative of
Yeah, yeah.
the Trojan War itself.
That was actually not the answer I was expecting. Because I thought in the announcement cinematic, right, it opens with Achilles burning someone on a pyre. And I thought that was
Yes,
Patroclus.
this is the cinematic, but actually, the start of the game, if you have left the cinematic there at the beginning,
Ah,
the game starts after Helen has been abducted from Sparta and
ah,
Paris arrives with her in Troy. So, at the start of your campaign, basically, what you need to do as Menelaus or Agamemnon, for example, you need to gather all the other allies so that you can go and wage war on Troy.
yeah.
As
All
you can
right.
see here, we are starting in Lacedaemon, which is
Yeah.
the province where Sparta is, and you're trying to consolidate your power there, do the military alliance with Agamemnon, and so on.
Mm,
And soon you're going to start getting those heroic missions, which are unique for each hero, and they represent their journey in this conflict. Of course, this is a sandbox game, so players
yeah,
might
yeah.
choose not to follow the heroic missions and go their own way and do their own thing, and the game might turn out to be very, very different than the narrative of the Total War of Troy. But
Yeah.
this is part of the fun of playing Total War, and I mean, I always, when I play, I try to go against history or against the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
path that has been
Absolutely.
chosen for me.
Like when I said that Achilles burned Patroclus at the beginning of the cinematic, I realized that in the cinematic he is also fighting Hector, which is clearly not the beginning of the game. So
Yes.
I don't know
You
why I
don't
thought,
start with
oh
fighting Hector right off
no,
as Achilles. You still have some domestic problems that you need
yeah.
to deal with first.
Um, let's see. So we have a question here that I'm not going to answer because it's a specific question about Aeneas's speak to the dead mechanics. We'll cover Aeneas in a
Aeneas, I believe it's
Aeneas.
pronounced.
It's, these
Not exactly sure. It's a bit strange because in
these Greek
Bulgarian,
names.
most of the
Yeah.
names are pronounced in different ways.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah.
I have the same issue with Three Kingdoms where things are not pronounced the way I expect them to be pronounced. On the other hand, I have this problem in just being here in this country, considering I'm Swedish and things are just things are weird. Um, will we see more of the Trojans? Yes. Next week we are going to do a stream on Paris of Troy, who is the guy that abducts Helen and starts this entire kerfuffle that we have here
Yeah, and we're
in the
going
game.
to see his mechanics and how he is different in both campaign
Oh yeah.
and battle.
It's fantastic. And of course, if you want to see even more of them, we've done some battle streams, and also there are a lot of influencers and press that have put out their campaign impressions. So if you want to see more of that, go ahead, head over to YouTube, just search in a Total War Troy Saga, a Total War Saga Troy. That's the name of the game. I should get it right. And then you can just watch a ton. I know that IGN put up theirs, Cody Bonds, and a bunch of other people. I probably shouldn't have mentioned anyone specifically, but there's a lot of people that have put out their impressions, and you can go and check those out. Um, let's see. Uh, so here's an interesting question. We've seen a bunch of different types of heroes in the battles. Are there support heroes that's maybe buff or something as opposed
Yes,
to being
the
fighters?
warlord types of heroes, especially the mentor archetype, is pretty
Mm,
much a support hero. So they're not really that great in single combat, but they will provide a lot of buffs and debuffs to your armies depending on which support archetype you go after. And yes, their skill trees will be different, and the abilities that they have access to will be different, and will be leaning more towards the supportish way. From the epic heroes, I guess the ones that are more supportish are Agamemnon himself. He's not
yeah.
that much of a fighter. He is still a pretty great fighter because he is Agamemnon, but
Mm,
Agamemnon and Sarpedon are leaning more or less toward the supportish role.
mm. Um, then we have a question here that I can actually answer. Is there mod support? And the answer is yes. There is no on launch. There's not going to be any form of mod workshop support because unfortunately there is not one yet on the Epic Game Store. According to their public timeline, it is something that they are working on, and I'm sure once that comes out, we'll look at getting support for that into our game as far as is possible. But until then, you can do it sort of the old school way, which is get your mods hosted on a platform. People can then download them and then put them into their game folders, and it's the way we used to do it. You know, I'm a '90s kid. You're a little bit older than me, I think, Milcho. So, uh, but we
Yeah,
all remember the way
slightly.
we used to do it. I don't actually know how old you are. I'm
Yes, still
I'm
it's
30.
pretty. We will be losing that convenience
Yeah.
being on the Epic Store, but we've talked with them, and because we really want to have mod support for our game, and we do realize that
Mm,
modding the game is the thing that keeps players coming back and back playing the game more and more
yeah.
because there are always new things that you can try thanks to the mods. And we have been working with the modding community. We've been talking a lot with them, trying our best to make sure that our game is as friendly as possible to mod, so
Yeah.
that they can actually do a lot of mods. And Epic has assured us that they're working really hard on their own mod support,
Mm,
and we should be expecting it very soon, as it is on their map, and they are really trying to give it to us as soon as possible
yeah.
so that we can start modding our game easier. But in the meantime, as Blondie said, yeah, we're gonna have to do it old-fashioned way.
Yes, and because I think we're going to end our Q&A session there because we've already run over for 15 minutes. But I'm going to reiterate what I said at the beginning of the stream, which is that, let me make sure I'm in frame here. The game will be free, 100% free on the Epic Game Store on launch August 13th, 2020. We are going to launch it on other platforms in 2021, but that is later.
It's going to
This
be
this
free for
yeah.
24 hours, so
Yeah,
make sure
24. You
that
you will have
you're getting
24
that
hours
done.
to come in, claim the game. You get it for free. You get to keep it forever for free. Um, so hopefully you guys will go and check that out on August 13th, or even better, maybe you'll come back on Wednesday next week so that you can check out what's up with Paris of Troy. Thank you all for watching. This has been great. Thank you, Milcher, for clearing your schedule and coming out.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week. I will see you next week. We'll see who is here with me. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.